My name is Mandi Buckalew. I'm the Director of Skill Academic Coaching at Auburn University. We are an academic coaching program for students who learn differently. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself so you know who is this person talking to you. I actually got a BS in Applied Psychology from Georgia Tech. Yes, we have that there. And I got my master's in collaborative special education from Auburn University. I'm currently actually working on a PhD in educational psychology because Auburn will give us free tuition, so why not? I have more than 25 years of experience in education in both the public and the private sector. I have taught at all levels from pre-K through undergraduate. I've taught all subjects. I've done it. I've been the director of Skill for a few years now. I started with Skill in 2019 and became the director about a year and a half ago. I'm a member of the ACO, which is the Academic Coaches Org, LDA, the Learning Disabilities Association of America, and AHEAD, which is the Association on Higher Education and Disability. So I'm very active in the disability circles for higher education. More importantly, I'm a mother of two neurodivergent teenagers who don't hate on Alabama. They attend surprisingly good schools in Alabama. I know the reputation for Alabama education, and it's warranted, but there are some gems in there. Baby number one is actually graduating on Thursday. I know. From the Jefferson County Virtual Academy of Learning. It's an online school, online public school based out of Birmingham, Alabama. And that baby's graduating with valedictorian honors. And that baby's starting at Auburn in the fall, but she's going to start as a sophomore because she has so much dual enrollment credit. She gets to skip her freshman year. And hear this, Alabama school, right? Paid for all the tuition for the dual enrollment. It didn't cost us a cent. That baby did an entire year of dual enrollment credits for free for us. Love it.
Baby number two. Congratulations in the chat.
Thank you. Baby number two, also a big old nerd. We actually have a boarding school, a public boarding school here in Alabama. It's like Hogwarts, but nerdier. It's called the Alabama School of Math and Science down in Mobile. And it's a STEM school. It's consistently rated in the top 40 high schools in the country. And baby number two is going to graduate from there next year and then go somewhere to study genetics. And even though it's a boarding school, it is completely free room and board. So Alabama schools, we have NASA. So first things first, I want to tell you, you're doing a great job because parenting is hard. And parenting kids with learning differences is just really hard. And the fact that you are considering or your students are considering going to college means you have beaten all of the odds. You are an amazing parent. Please take some flowers. You are doing a great job. And there are some things I want to tell you about going to college if you're a student with learning disabilities. The first thing I need you to know is that special education in college is different, but like different, big different. We're going to cover the basics, right? You've heard a lot of these acronyms for years. You know, probably, that in high school, you're covered under IDEA. That's the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Used to be IDEIA, but now it's IDEA because we don't have I anymore. Anyway. IDEA covers students in K through 12 public education, right? Our grade schools. And it ensures a FAPE, maybe via IEP, in your LRE. What does that mean? That means FAPE, free appropriate public education, maybe via an IEP. We all know the IEP, Individualized Education Plan. We're so familiar. In your LRE, your least restrictive environment. So the object of IDEA is to give students with learning differences or disabilities a free appropriate public education and as much as possible in the regular classroom. IDEA covers us until we graduate from high school or until we turn 21, whichever comes first. Also in grade schools, we're covered under Section 504 of the Rehab Act. Right? Now, the Rehab Act is the legislation that defines what a disability is, and it ensures access to public spaces for people with disabilities. So that's why you can like wear your glasses, use a cane, use a wheelchair, have your seeing eye dog in public. That's the 504. It is very important to understand that Section 504 is for access. IEPs are for academic success. But remember that IEP goes away when you graduate from high school or turn 21, whichever comes first. IDEA doesn't cover higher education. So after secondary school, that's high school. After secondary school, when we get into higher education or post-secondary education, that's college or university, we're still covered by 504 to ensure access. But then we're also going to be covered under the ADA. That's the Americans with Disabilities Act. Now, the ADA has only been around since 1990. I know. But the ADA says that any public college or university that is a school that receives federal funding must offer reasonable accommodations. What reasonable accommodations mean is somewhat up to interpretation by each school. But any school that receives federal funding will offer accommodations. But just like the 504, the ADA is about access, not academic success. I made a handy dandy chart to make it a little easier. Now, this chart is specific to Auburn because, that's what we do here, but hear me out. The difference between high school and college. In high school, your school system is going to identify the disabilities and set up accommodations. In college, the student has to self-disclose their disabilities to the school and work with the school to set up accommodations. In high school, the school is going to set up those accommodations and implement it. Your student's going to get told, hey, go to Miss Smith's room to take your test. And they go to Miss Smith's room and they get their extra time in their quiet environment. In college, it's on the student to disclose to each instructor, I have these accommodations for your class, and to communicate with the instructor, how will I receive my accommodations in your class? In high school, we have that IEP or 504. In college, we have reasonable accommodations based on the documentation from your healthcare provider. There's more. IDEA is a legal mandate for your free appropriate public education, but college is optional, and therefore we're covered by 504 and the ADA. Parents, this is a hard one for us. In high school and elementary school, and the whole time, we were invited to IEP meetings. We were included. We were the advocates. In college, it's all on the student. Students are expected to monitor their accommodation needs and meet with their accommodation providers, the disability office, the accommodation office, whatever you call it at your school, to discuss when changes are needed. And this is the one. This next one is where students get hung up the most their first year of college. In high school, all day, every day is structured for you. You're told where to go and when, and you're in a class and you're supervised by a teacher, and the teacher tells you what you should be doing at every single minute. Not so for college. In college, you have these huge gaps of time between classes when you're supposed to be learning. You're supposed to be studying and engaging with the material, because in college, most of your learning happens outside the classroom, not inside the classroom, but there's nobody there to tell you what to do every single minute. In high school, your teachers are going to monitor your academic progress and give you support when you need it. College, the students have to check their own grades, and they have to set up their own academic support like tutoring. High school, your teachers are going to chase you down for that missing work. College, it's no. We're going to respect your choice as an adult. If you didn't want to turn in that assignment, that's okay. We'll give you a 0. We respect it. And for the purposes of this talk, there are modified degrees out there. There are some colleges and universities that offer a modified degree program for students with intellectual disabilities. But for what I'm talking about here, we're talking about a regular, old, plain college degree, the same track that everyone else takes. So the question is, how do we set our students up for success in college? Well, we're going to get our ducks in a row. It's steps. We're going to get our paperwork together, right? We're going to give our students everything they need. We're going to get the paperwork. I can't tell you what paperwork you need because every school has a different requirement. They're all allowed to say what they want. Some schools want very, very fresh recent documentation from your doctor. Some are more lenient. The average seems to be about 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5 year old diagnosis and documentation paperwork, but your mileage may vary. Some schools want an application for accommodations, and that's just like some basic demographic information to get started in their system. You're going to get better results in general if the documentation you have from your healthcare provider for your dyslexia, dysgraphia, ADHD, autism, anxiety, depression, whatever it is that affects learning, if that documentation has some sort of statement about how your disability affects your learning. That's going to help the conversation go with your accommodation provider about how to get those things set up and what you actually need. To find out what you're going to need at your school, it's usually on the internet. You can usually look it up on their website. It's usually there. If not, you can call them. But here's the important thing. See that last bullet right there? You've got to involve your student in every single step, because in college, it's all on the student. So the more you can involve them now, the better you're preparing them for success. I've been asked this before. Will you guys call the high school and get the 504 and bring it over and set it up? No, no. You have to self-disclose to your college or university. You have to submit the documentation. They're not going to contact the high school to get any paperwork sent over. The other thing you need, you have to prepare your student. Y'all, we have had students arrive to college who did not know the name of their diagnosis, the name of their disability. You have to give them, empower them with the words to describe their disability, to name it, to say how that disability affects their learning. Can they name and describe their current accommodations? Do they know they have current accommodations? Not just resource room, but I get time and a half and a quiet environment on my tests because my ADHD prevents me from completing a test in a distractive environment. You also need to empower your student to advocate for how their accommodations support their learning. Now, sometimes, frequently, we get students who come to college and they are absolutely dead set on not using accommodations in college because they don't want the stigma. Understandable, but I want to make sure we're all very clear about what special education actually is. So special education is for the discrepancy. To qualify for special education for a learning disability, what we're looking for is your intellectual ability, your working memory, your basically potential, your learning potential versus your academic performance. If we test you and you have a high learning potential and you have high grades, check, that's what we expect. If we test you and you have a low learning potential and you're getting low grades, check, that's what we expect. If we test you and you have a low potential and you're getting high grades, that's weird, but good for you. Special education only happens at that bottom line. If we test you and you have a high potential for learning, but you're getting low grades, that's a problem. That means that the way we're teaching is not working for your big brain. So it's really important to destigmatize special education and understand that if you get to college in spite of a learning difference, you're a high flyer and you have all the potential in the world. While we're at it, parents, I love you. You're wonderful. Could you please empower your students with their own medical information? Do they know the names of their medical conditions and can they spell them? Do they know their allergies and do they know not to eat the foods they're allergic to? If you have always taken the pears off the plate because they are allergic to pears, they have never had to say no to pears before. We need to practice saying no to pears. Do they know what medications they're taking, why they take them, and what happens if they don't take their meds? Also, do they know how to get refills? That's going to be a life skill they need in college. Number 3, the 3-month question. I can't remember where I first heard this, but it is genius. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to look at your teenager and you're going to say, hey, If you were left home alone for 3 months, what would you need help with? And the first thing they're going to say is, I don't know how to pay the mortgage. And that's fair. That's absolutely fair. Paying the bills, keeping the light on, paying the phone bill. Absolutely. But you can show them how to do that, right? And then, like, today is, what is it, May 19th? So tomorrow's May 20th. Look at your child. If you were home alone from May 20th to August 20th, what would you need help with? And together, you guys are going to talk about all of these things that keep the world turning in your house that they may not be aware of are happening. Like cleaning. Do your kids know how to clean? But like clean, but like really keep things clean, or at least, good enough for a dorm. Do they know home maintenance? Do they understand you have to change the batteries in the smoke alarm? Do they know how to change air filters, refrigerator water filters? Do they know how to shop? Because right now, for a lot of us, when the peanut butter gets low in the pantry, magically, the next day there's a full jar in there. And we've never had to worry about it. We've never had to notice that the peanut butter's low and add it to the grocery list and go to the store and get it. All of those steps, all of those executive functioning things need to happen to keep food in the house. Do they know how to do that? Can they cook basic foods, quasi-healthy foods? Hygiene, my friends. We taught our kids how to clean themselves in the bathtub when they were little, and they kind of get it, but do they monitor their own hygiene? Or are you the one always telling them to take a shower? Are you the one always telling them that their room is stinky? Also, with all the love in my heart, I cannot tell you how many freshmen arrive to campus and do not know that you have to wash your sheets. Y'all, it is hot here. These children are sweaty. It is hot and sweaty. You shed your skin at night. The sheets get gross, and we have students who never wash their sheets. And y'all, teach your kids to wash their sheets. Finances, do they know how to check their bank account? Use a debit card, write a check. Do they make their own appointments? Let them schedule the next orthodontist visit. Let them schedule the next doctor's visit. And using health insurance, they're going to need a copy of their health insurance card before they go to college. The next time you go to a new doctor and you have to fill out all that information, let them do it. Help them, but let them do it. Which brings us to, if they can do it themselves, let them. Even if they're terrible at it, especially if they're terrible at it, because if they're terrible at it, they need more practice, and they're only going to get better if you give them the chance to do it. If they can do it themselves, let them. I know it's hard. I'm right there with you. The goal is autonomy. We want to send productive adults into the world. We want our kids out there making a difference, being awesome. And the way to build that autonomy is to start now. You've already started, actually. You started it really, really early. You taught them to walk. You taught them to talk. You taught them to feed themselves, clean themselves. Maybe you've taught them to drive. We're going to keep going with more adultier skills. We're going to teach them how to pay a power bill, how to sign up for insurance, all those adulting things. Bonus tip, if you're sending a baby off to college, get them the new tech, like if they're getting a new laptop, a new phone, a new iPad, whatever, get them that at the start of the summer and give them the whole summer to play with it and get used to it. Because in August, when you're going to campus and you're moving into a new place and meeting new people and you've got to find classes and meet new professors, you're not going to have the bandwidth to also figure out how to use your new computer. Do the tech early in the summer. Also, hot tip for you, in their senior year of high school, institute roommate rules. I'm not your mom, I'm your roommate. Treat me like a roommate. I'm going to treat you like a roommate. This is our shared living space. And that's going to help them prepare for moving into a dorm or moving into an apartment. Hey, roommate, you left your shoes in the middle of the floor. Were you raised by wolves? I mean, I said it to my kids. Hey, roommate, your room stinks. Could you hey, you left your dishes in the sink. Roomie, what are you doing? prepare them for living alone. Because we are not going to deprive our student of an opportunity to learn and grow in independence and confidence. Said in the positive way, we are going to allow our student every opportunity to learn and grow in independence and confidence. Every task we do for our student takes away an opportunity for them to learn and grow. I know it is so hard. I am right there with you. It is rough, friends, but we got to get uncomfortable. And you already know this because we're grown and we're extremely cool. And everything that we went through that made us extremely cool was uncomfortable. In the history of the world, nobody has ever become a better person by staying comfortable. All of our progress as a person has come through discomfort. And so we are going to get uncomfortable and we're going to stop doing too much. We're going to park the helicopter. We're going to park the snowplow. We're going to park the lawnmower, or whatever metaphor we're using for parents that knock down obstacles in their child's way. We're not going to teach our children to avoid hard things. We're going to let them do hard things. We're going to let them be uncomfortable. I know, I'm with you. It's easier said than done. But we hear a lot of college faculty talking about grit and perseverance. And the only way for our students to develop the grit, the perseverance, to deal with the hard things and overcome obstacles is to let them practice. Now, it is really, really hard on us. Mom, my kid's graduating. Oh my goodness gracious. It is really hard to turn that off because we have been our children's advocate. We have done the things for almost 2 decades. It has been on us. You just can't turn that off. There's not a switch. There's not like a nicotine patch to stop parenting, but we're going to do it. We're going to make mistakes. It's going to take practice, but we are going to practice letting our children do the things. May I suggest adopting a cat? Rechannel all that parenting, mommy bear, daddy bear energy into a little kitty cat. Get a cat. Maybe join a club, maybe read a book, take up origami, spend that energy somewhere. Succulents are great. Make a nice little garden, maybe. I know, it's hard. We've got to let our kids do it. The object of the game is for us to grow as people because relationships are reciprocal, right? We want our student to tell us what they're up to. So we've got to model that behavior and tell them what we're up to. But for us to have something to tell them about what we're up to, we have to have something to which we are up. We got to do some stuff to develop ourselves as people. So we have something to talk about. Because if your kid calls from college and all you have to say is, I've been stalking you on social media and Life 360, that's not going to be a healthy relationship. Don't do that. Don't do that. But if you say, hey, I grew 15 succulents and I have a cat and his name is Mortimer and he's great. You have things to talk about. It's a pleasant conversation. Oh my goodness, they're going to want to call again. Everybody wins. Parents. Oh, my parents, please use social media wisely. I'm going to show you some examples. No hate or disrespect to these parents, but I'm going to show you what not to do. Do not be this mom. This is an actual honest to goodness post that was put in an Auburn University parent group by a mother who desperately needs to adopt a kitten. Here's the thing. I know this mother loves her daughter. I know she means well. She posted, anybody know anyone or have a child in the View is a apartment building on Glen Avenue. So this is off-campus living. I think my daughter has overslept. I would love for someone to go beat on her door. Any help appreciated. Stressed out mom. She wants what's best for her daughter. She wants her daughter to get up. I know it. I respect it, but she is trying to take away an opportunity for her daughter to learn and grow. The other thing is, we all saw this. This was public. We all memorized that name. If that kid ever applies for a job in my department, it's a no. She can't even get herself up in the morning. Think of it from the college's perspective. If I'm a professor and I have one fellowship available, right? I'm looking for a student who is responsible and ambitious. I'm looking for a problem solver. If your mom is on social media asking where you can get a big boy haircut, it is not you. I know these parents mean well. I know they're trying to help. Even if you think it's innocuous, sit down. Don't do it. Adopt another kitten. Stop, stop. Do not put it on social media. We are not going to compromise our students' professional reputation on social media. I know, I'm with you. What we are going to do with our social media is we're going to connect with resources. We can join parent groups and we can learn about local resources, and Dysgraphia Life is no doubt on social media, and we can, follow those and take webinars, and we can cultivate our own interests, our succulents and our cats, and we can connect with other parents. I do have tips for the teenagers as well. Social media tips for students, and they already know this because we start their social media training in like 3rd grade. Our students are better at social media management than we ever will be. But a couple of tips for students from things I've seen. Keep it positive and keep it private. The first thing we're going to do if you apply for a job with us or a position in our lab or anything is we're going to search you on social media. If it's a little too public and I'm seeing too much of your business, I don't want to get involved in that in my lab. Also, if you're complaining about everything and this school is terrible and these teachers are awful and I hate my job, it's a bad look. Keep it positive, keep it private. One of my favorite academic tips to give students involves social media. I want you guys, the kids, the students, the babies, to use your algorithms. So the next time you're on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, search for academic terms. Like if you're learning about the Louisiana Purchase, go into YouTube, type Louisiana Purchase, and watch a couple of videos. If you're on TikTok, go ahead and put in like time management or study tips or executive function tips. And what that's going to do is that's going to put that type of content into your algorithm. And these social media sites are designed to keep you engaged. And if they think that you want to learn more about the Louisiana Purchase or you want to learn more about time management, they're going to send you more and more content like that. So even when you're doom scrolling at night, you're going to start consuming some useful content. We're going to use social media in our favor. We're also going to follow professional accounts. So like if you want to be a pilot, you're going to follow all the airlines, you're going to follow flight schools, you're going to follow airline mechanics. That way, if you ever bump into the CEO of Delta at a Chipotle, you have something to talk about. And that way, when you made such a good impression on the CEO of Delta at Chipotle, he's going to search your LinkedIn, which you are going to create and maintain. Social media is our friend, parents. Number 7, okay, this one's rough for me. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about all the things we are going to talk about it. You've done this before. You used to narrate everything to your child. You used to say what things are. You used to say colors and sizes and numbers and everything. You narrated everything you were doing. That's how they learned how the world worked. You got to start narrating again, but you've got to narrate your adulting. What you're doing, when, where, and why. I am making an appointment for you to get a TB test because you have to have that before you can register for classes for this fall. And also, you have to take a TB test at the beginning of the week because it has to sit in your arm for 3 days before they can read it. So we've got it, like, talk it out, how you're planning ahead. Narrate what you're doing. Narrate the adulting. I know that teenagers are scary. I know that they are mean. I know that they are scary and mean. I know this is going to be awkward, but you're going to get uncomfortable because you know that when you're uncomfortable, that is the path to becoming a better person. Teenagers are Mother Nature's way of supporting independence for adults. They make it so that you're okay for when they're ready to move out or when they're ready to move out. They're just a lovely, lovely stage for Mother Nature. You know, we're going to get through it together. We're going to talk about all the things. Because even though your kids don't listen to us, Our kids don't listen to us. Your kids don't listen to you. My kids certainly don't listen to me. Let's talk about that, right? I'm the director of this program. I do the hiring. I do the professional development. Do my children listen to me for academic coaching? No, but anybody on my staff says something, it's like it came from on high. That's the best idea they've ever heard. If mom says it, no. Any other coach who I taught to say the thing says it, it's genius. It's because I took them to Wiggles concerts and maybe they think that's what my interests are limited to. I don't know. What I'm saying is, even though our kids don't listen to us, they still hear it all. So we're going to model how we want them to solve problems, not just practical problems, but interpersonal problems as well, because you are the voice inside their head. So we want to put nice, kind, productive words into that little head. We're going to choose our words carefully. Also, lovingly, if you want them to call more, make the phone call pleasant. If they call and all you do is complain about how they never call, they're not going to call anymore because that sucked. If you want them to call more, have good things to say when the phone rings. You are laying the groundwork right now for the type of relationship you're going to have with your adult child. I know, because yesterday we were buying those cereal puffs that dissolve in their mouth and trying to convince them not to lick the outlet. And now I know, I'm with you. Ooh, number 8. I love number 8. Mind the gap. Hear me out. We know that students with learning disabilities, especially dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, autism, and ADHD, are behind their same age peers in executive function. We know executive function is the ability to handle time management and organization and all of those adulting things. They just are. We know that. If we've talked about everything, right? We've narrated out loud. If we've asked them about 3 months home alone and we've taught them the life skills, we let them practice those life skills even though they're terrible at it. We've left our comfort zone. What if their life skills still aren't there? They're still not ready for college. That is why the good Lord invented the gap year. We love a gap year. Oh my stars. Research shows that students with executive function deficits will benefit from a gap year. A year to work, a year to travel, a year to mature, a year to have more brain development in that prefrontal cortex, a year to figure things out. You can defer your acceptance to the school that you were accepted to. And this is where you say, but they'll graduate later. Maybe they won't. Maybe they would have graduated at this time anyway because they took a bunch of classes they weren't ready for and failed them, and we had to stay in school longer and ended up with a lower GPA. Maybe we'll graduate sooner because we figured out what path we want to be on and took those classes. Maybe we'll graduate with a better job because we took a year to work and we developed our professional skills. Maybe we'll graduate with honors. Don't hate on the gap year. I mean, I'm not saying you have to do a gap year, just don't rule it out. We're getting towards the end, you guys. We're going to embrace failure. This is so hard. This is so hard, but we can do it. We're going to change the way we look at failure. We're going to change it to first attempt in learning. Okay, hear me out. You are going to mess up, and your student is going to mess up. But because you're cultivating a relationship with a young adult now, you guys are going to help each other out. And you're going to talk about it. And even better, you are going to model how to deal with failure because you're going to mess up. And your student is going to mess up. And you're going to show them how to handle that. Grit and perseverance, that valuable commodity we really, really love in higher education, it comes from practice. Messing up and getting up and doing it again. And mess up, and then we're going to fix it. We're not going to model guilt. We're not going to model shame. We will model empathy. We will model making it better, but we'll also model giving ourselves grace and giving our students grace too. Here's the thing, parents. I know you've been doing the lion's share of the advocacy for 12, 15, 20 years. but this is your first time being alive. You're still learning too. Give yourself some grace. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay to slow down at college time. Also, it's fun to do it wrong. I mean, it's not fun to do it wrong. It's terrible to fail, but like if you already knew what the outcome was going to be, life wouldn't be exciting. Wouldn't be fun. You cannot learn to handle failure any earlier than today. In my humble opinion, as a very old person, I think middle school is the best time to let them fail. Because in middle school, everything is a huge deal to them, and they learn how to handle that failure and process those feelings. But if we miss the boat on middle school, high school is great. I mean, the stakes aren't going to get any lower. If we miss the boat on high school, college is great because the stakes aren't going to get any lower. Yes, in college, we could flunk out of school. Yes, in college, we could lose a scholarship. That's rough. But failure in adulthood is even rougher. That's where we're talking bankruptcy, divorce, prison. So the stakes are not going to get any lower. Let your students experience failure and recover from it. And now we're at number 10. This is probably going to be the most useful one for you guys. This is probably what you thought you were coming for. We are going to give our students what they need to be successful, and then we're going to get out of the way. I know, I'm right there with you. Hear me out. Tools for success. One of the things we get asked so often, what is the best laptop for college students? It's the one they're going to check their email on. Whatever they will check their email on, buy that one. The best tablet, the best iPad is the one they're going to check their email on every day. Because, spoiler alert to my future college students, if email is a official form of communication for your school, then those emails they send you are considered read, whether or not you actually open them. You've got to check your email. You've got to read your emails. You've got to respond to your emails. I know. The best computer is the one they're going to check their email on. They're going to check their learning platform on. They're actually going to turn their homework in on time or early on. And parents say, oh, we get this one a lot. How do I make sure my child is going to class every day? You have two options. You can either Life 360 and stalk them all day, every day, and memorize the layout of campus and know where they're supposed to be and when, and follow them on your phone. Or you can get therapy and let it go. Let it go. Let it go. They're going to go to class, or they're not. They're going to experience the consequences of that choice either way. This is their college journey to make that decision on. I know it's hard. I know, I'm right there with you. I know. It's okay. How will they wake up in the morning without me? You need a cat. Partly because your cat will allow you to wake them up in the morning and give them treats. Partly because your cat will wake up your kid in the morning and teach them that lesson. But also we're going to empower our students to learn to get themselves up. Have you heard of Freaky Alarm? I can't see you. I'm going to assume you said no. Freaky Alarm is one of the apps that my students absolutely adore or hate. Love to hate. Here's what it does. It's an alarm app in your phone, but it doesn't turn on with a button. You have to do something to get the really, really obnoxious alarm to turn off. And you can set up what that thing is. So like at the easy level, it's a math problem. You have to look at the phone, you have to solve a math problem. Your brain has to get up and moving to get the alarm off. You can also set it so that you have to scan the barcode of your toothpaste. So then you have to like get up, get out of bed, go into the bathroom, scan the toothpaste to get the alarm to turn off. And by then you're up, you may as well go to class. We're empowering our students to do the things rather than us doing it for them. But also get Freaky Alarm in the summer and get used to it because, you know, we're building habits. We don't want to do too much during the transition time in August. How will they study if I'm not there? You're going to give them tools. I like Study Fetch. I'm biased because we provide Study Fetch through Skill, but it's a great online AI learning platform. It'll make flashcards, it'll make games, it'll make tests, it'll make quizzes, has an AI tutor that'll explain it to you. I love some Study Fetch. I gave you a coupon code there, Skill 20. If you really feel the need to study with somebody, you can train a cat to fetch. Just putting that out there. How will they stay on top of their work? This one's harder. Planners are great if they'll use them. This is my shameless plug for College Star. Now, Skill is obviously the best academic coaching program in the whole entire world, but we are definitely not the only one in the game. We're the first of our kind in the SEC and one of the first in the country, but there are others around the country. So if you go to collegestar.org, you can find the schools like Auburn that have a program like Skill for students with learning disabilities who are seeking a regular, plain, normal, non-modified degree. collegestar.org. And for my students, how do I make my materials more accessible? You guys probably already know about Open Dyslexic Font. Do you know that Comic Sans works similarly? Comic Sans has magic powers. I mean, it's ugly. Bless its heart. But we love Open Dyslexic for the weighted font, right? It helps our students with dyslexia read more efficiently. But Comic Sans, also asymmetrical, also helps us read things more efficiently. But I saw it on TikTok, it must be true. What we're hearing from writers, from authors, is that they write in Comic Sans, and because it is a ridiculous looking font, they write so much faster and more efficiently. And of course, they change it to like a real font before they turn it in. But writing in Comic Sans apparently has some sort of writing power that makes you write more and faster. So they say. How do I build good habits? Oh, my precious baby students, can I recommend Finch or Habitica? Oh, and all of these apps and things are listed in the handouts that are on Dysgraphia Life. So you don't have to like write them down or anything if you want them. Finch is an app. Remember Tamagotchis? Tamagotchis were so cool and you had to like keep them alive. Finch is that, but the way to keep it alive is by doing your habits, like brushing your teeth, going to class, taking out the trash, washing your sheets, all of those things you need to do. Finch will help you stay on top of those. Habitica, love some Habitica. Habitica gamifies your life. It turns your life into a video game. So you earn points by, you tell it what you need to do, and then you earn points by doing the things you need to do, going to class, doing your homework, writing your notes, rewriting your notes, doing your reading. But also it'll assign you to teams. And so with other players, so like you got to do the things or else you're going to let your team down. We love some peer pressure. So that's Habitica. Want some other good apps? I got some good apps for you. Now these guys are AI powered. Note, which I always call Kanote to my freshmen because it bothers them and that tickles me. But Note is a great app. It kind of replaced Quizlet for your free flashcards. We love Grammarly to check our grammar, obviously. And if you haven't seen Goblin Tools, I want you to go to goblin.tools. That's it. You go to your little browser, goblin.tools. This is a site, an AI-powered site that was designed by a person with ADHD for people with ADHD, and the tools on it are just, I absolutely love them. It's got a tone judge where people on the spectrum can put in a text and be like, what is the tone of this text? Are they mad at me? No, they're not mad at you. They're polite. Yes. It's got a composition tab where you can like say things and then have it turn it into something more professional. Tells you steps of how, like, I love Goblin Tools. Go check that one out. Oh, how do I make my materials more accessible? We love headphones for screen readers. Get you some headphones or some earbuds and put a tile on them so you don't lose them. These are some of the screen readers that our students use the most. Students with visual or language processing disabilities are going to get more out of their lectures if it's being like the lecture materials are being read to them in one ear. I also like Saratech a lot because it'll read the whole screen and not just what's in the browser. but I like Orca a lot because that's their logo and I think that's adorable. Another way to make lectures more accessible, transcription software. At Auburn, we like Glean. Otter is also super, that's the one in the top middle. Otter is super popular with the college kids because readers are going to read. And if you have a student who prefers to watch Netflix with the subtitles on, get them some transcription software so they can read their lectures while they're going. Transcription software is also really good for multitaskers. ADHD. If you have a fidgety ADHD student who has to do two things at once, transcription software, because you're listening and you're reading at the same time, and that's going to reduce the urge to pick up the phone. And that is it. That is what I've got. Do you guys have questions for me? Comments, concerns, pictures of cats? That is my cat. That's Aaron Purr. He is my child now because my children don't need me anymore.
Thank you so much, Mandi. That was great and lots of useful information for executive functions. And I will say one person did actually email our inbox with a picture of a cat while watching.
Yes.
So you win on your cats. And I see one in the chat now. We did have a couple questions. The first was around, a lot of great executive function type advice. Specific to this community, the dysgraphia community, there's a lot of writing demands in college. And so when you get those students with dysgraphia who are sort of overwhelmed with, there's a lot of writing, how do I help with writing? Writing is the hardest part for me. Do you have specific advice for those students and or their parents to sort of help with the writing piece of it all?
Yes. And you're going to do it at the start of the summer so they don't try to learn how to do it in August when they're moving into the dorm. You are going to find a voice-to-text software that you love, that works for you, and you're going to have it type in Comic Sans because we get more out of us that way. But you're going to use a voice-to-text software and you're going to play around with free samples until you find one that works really great for you and your articulation and your intonation. Voice-to-text is fantastic, but we know we learn a lot by writing, right? Handwriting is the way, and we learn because it's connected to our brain and we do. But don't sleep on saying it out loud. One of the study techniques we give to our students over and over and over again is to teach it to someone else. And it's not because the other person learns it. It's because when you say the thing out loud, your brain has to form the words. And then you have to say the words, and then you hear yourself say the words, and then you interpret the words you just heard yourself say. So you've got them 4 times going through your brain. So voice to text is fan-stinking-tastic. Your transcription software for when you're in class will take your notes for you. We love Glean for that because Glean, y'all, Glean will like transcribe it for you and help you turn it into notes, but you can also like push a button and when the teacher says, this is on the test, red flag, and it'll mark it in the transcript for where that test question is. Like there are so many tools out there. So your transcription software, and then practice writing. I know. Hold your pen differently. Shop for pens. I told you earlier my Amazon hack. If you go on Amazon and you look for, don't judge me, you look for misprinted bulk pens. All of these companies that like sell pens with logos on them, when they're misprinted, they just throw a bunch of them in a box and sell them for cheap. And then you're going to get big, chunky, funky pens that feel differently in your hand and you can write differently. And you're going to get like 100 of them for $10 and let your kid play around and shop for the different kind of pen. And maybe this one holds differently and I can slow down and write better. It's worth a shot.
Yeah, that's great. That was one we were talking about this earlier. I said I hadn't heard yet the Amazon bulk pens, which is fun. We had another you talked about a lot of great apps and software, and it's relevant because we are actually in the midst of doing a math software community survey to see who likes what math software. So I'll put that survey in the chat in case anyone wants to fill it out who has experience with that. We're hoping to write a blog on it later this summer, but curious if you have ones you recommend, because writing out all the math problems can be very difficult for people too.
I mean, I'm loyal to Study Fetch on that one again, because Study Fetch will let you speak it out loud and type it for you. It'll translate your handwriting pretty well into their system, but it'll also break down the steps for you and explain to you, here's how to solve the problem. And you think, this is what I thought. Like, I thought, I'm going to give these kids Study Fetch. I'm giving these whole group of college students this free AI software. They're going to use it to just get the answers and go. We looked at what they did, and not like 3 of them look just for the answers and go. The rest of them, like, I don't want the answer, explain it to me so I can do it myself. They really use the AI interface to get help on how to do it. And I was so relieved and so proud of them. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I like Study Fetch for that, but I'm biased.
That's great. And then one which might be before we get to you, but people were asking for that sort of high school writing support in general and potential curriculums. They're actually worried about writing the college essays to even get in the first place. I don't know if you have anywhere to start or to recommend from your point of view. We have not done a full curriculum review. It's something we've been talking about, but definitely of interest.
Thinking of my child with dysgraphia, they just got a full ride to Auburn. How did we do that? No, there's a lot of voice to texting, a lot of typing. Typing's fine. Are we talking about like coming up with the words or just like physically putting them on paper?
It does kind of written expression in general, but I think looking for just how to teach the thoughts, the composition. There are some out there. We have not done a formal comparison, but we tend to tell people explicit instruction in all the pieces, like how do you expand a sentence, how do you expand a paragraph. Generally explicit instruction is the way to go, but people are saying both, which is very normal. We see handwriting going with spelling, going with that composition of thoughts quite often.
I have been out of grade school education for so long. That's not me. I don't have an explicit instruction that I can recommend. I will tell you, don't judge. I I like Goblin tools. Because Goblin tools, you can just dump a bunch of information into it and it will turn it into a meaningful list or a more professional, and that's AI. But if you take that AI and then you fix it, because AI is frequently flawed still, and put it into your own words, um, you know, it's not bad. I like the way it helps you model a bunch of random thoughts into a coherent passage. And it's free. Although the app is 99 cents on your phone, but the website's free.
The website's free. No, that's great. Actually, there were a lot of new, I feel like we're going to need regular updates for you because there were a lot of new AI based tools that I had not seen yet in your talk. So that's great because I'm sure it is our college age students that are at the cutting edge of what's the newest tool
Yep.
out there. And as someone who personally uses Otter for work all the time,
Yes.
they can be very, very helpful.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think we've hit most of our big questions, but we really appreciate your time today. Any last tips are welcome. And we certainly have some people thinking about getting some cats.
Yes. Because it is cat season, and right now the Bissell promo at your local animal shelter means they're free. I'm going to tell you to don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions, especially if there's a program like Skill or an accommodation office or just like we're all here to help, right? Reach out and ask questions, but it's even better if you can get your student to make the phone call to ask the questions.
Perfect. And there was one comment in here that I think probably came from a student that says, "Thank you so much. I am now less afraid to go to college." And so I think that's really what we're looking for at the end of the day. So, thank you to everyone. For all the attendees, I put a poll out on the Zoom to sort of vote for how much you like the webinar and how likely you are to recommend the webinar series. As I said, the different webinars are all up on Dysgraphia Learn, and this one will be up in 7 days. You will also get a link in your email because you registered for tonight, obviously, by being here. So thank you so much to everyone. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you on a future one. And a huge thank you to Mandi for all her work in preparing this. And there's so many comments about how many people loved it. So thank you for your time tonight.